Hello, I'm your father. You may remember me from such experiences as being in a car accident. Sorry I was
I
late.
think I might have strep.
What?
Honestly.
Ooh. Well, don't sit on that. That's how Jim Henson died.
Now it should be good. Does it not sound good?
It sounds beautiful, like butter. Like
Fucking beauty, bud. Baby smooth.
Yeah, exactly the way Noah doesn't talk when he doesn't speak into his microphone.
How about this? The balls are now in my mouth, just like you like it.
Dude, this is not I'm not trying to insult you, okay? I'm just telling you, factually speaking, I got to go back and edit this shit. And so if you can go ahead and speak into the mic, it makes my job a billion times easier.
Yeah, here's what you got to understand, Noah. He's not trying to insult you or sound condescending in any way. He just does that.
Oh, I know.
Anyway, so what's up, guys?
Snow. It's snow.
Balls in our mouth.
It's snow here in the Delmarva Peninsula. Or whatever. I don't know where we're at. In Maryland.
What it's called?
I don't
You
know.
got snow where you're at?
Yeah, it's snow in Maryland, and I don't like it.
Yeah, well, as riveting as all this talk of weather is, like it normally is, I suggest we move on to something else.
A shin show.
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 A shin show. How about that Wall Street? How
Really?
about them hedge fund managers getting fucked? I love it.
Fuck them.
So tasty and delicious. I love that. So rarely do you ever get a justice boner like this. You know what I mean? Now, true, it's not like these people are going to be fucking having to get a second job at Starbucks, but, you know, it's enough that they're losing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Billions, in fact. One of these hedge funds, I think it was Citroen, lost 50% of its value to the tune of at least $3 billion. That's certainly the amount of the cash infusion that they got. So the losses have been extraordinary. But the gains have also been extraordinary. I'm surprised, son, that you didn't make some investments in GME, which is the symbol for GameStop. And when I say son, I also mean you, Noah. I'm surprised neither of you made some bets. Or you either, Sarah. When I say son, I also include you.
I showed up to this party 2 days late. Have you ever seen The Community? You know that gif where Troy walks into the fucking apartment and everything's on fire and everyone's screaming?
He walks in with
that
the
was
pizza.
me.
Yeah, I don't follow Wall Street bets like I just did. I was late to the party, but it's fine. I mean, I would like to have made a $50 million play in one day like some of these guys have done. Some of these Joe Schmoes who did a YOLO, just took out their entire life savings of $3,000, bought 100 fucking stocks of GameStop and AMC and are now multimillionaires. That would be nice. I would like that to be me, but I will settle. I said this to Taylor. It's not really about who's getting the money. It's about who's losing the money. And
Yes.
who's losing the money is these asshole millionaire, possibly billionaire slush fund, hedge fund managers who in 2008, there's several pictures when people were occupying Wall Street of these Wall Street dudes up in their high balconies drinking champagne, pouring champagne on protesters, having a jolly good time that they fucked the economy in the ass through its pants at the cost of the American people. But now just watch. Legislation will be passed to make sure this never happens again.
It's funny you say that because Elsie's got the 411 on all of that. Don't you?
No.
Oh, sorry. I saw you looking at a picture of Ted Cruz on your phone, and I thought she knows all about this legislation that's going to protect the poor, trodden-upon hedge fund managers. Because that's what legislation would happen. It would be, obviously, to protect the poor hedge fund managers who have been harmed by the shenanigans of these stonk bros on Reddit.
Yeah.
Noah, you're being awfully quiet. Were you one of said stonk bros?
I wish. I didn't check Wall Street bets. I used to check it religiously, but then I was like, I don't do Reddit anymore. And now I'm kicking myself because fuck me, dude. I didn't realize you could make that much fucking money.
Yeah,
know,
people
right?
are making, seriously, tens of $1 million plays. These just Joe Schmoes. And now you hold it. I actually, somebody on Reddit explained what happened.
Well, lay it on us, man.
Okay. GameStop, as you can probably imagine, is a company that was wildly considered to be on the verge of failing due to being a brick-and-mortar gaming retailer in the age of COVID and downloadable games. Makes sense. Due to this, big Wall Street hedge funds bet on its stock price continuing to drop by doing what is called shorting a stock. In simple terms, shorting a stock is when somebody borrows a stock off somebody else and then immediately sells the stock. Eventually, in the future, they will need to buy the stock back to return the one they borrowed. If the stock price drops, they make a profit as they sold it for more than they bought it for. However, there is one major catch. If the price rises, they'll be forced to buy it back at a higher price. And since stocks can essentially go up to infinity, they can go into enormous debt. This is where Wall Street Bets came in, the subreddit. People looked at this and noticed that A, the stock was being ludicrously shorted. There were more shares borrowed than even existed. And B, that due to the company's financials and things like the console cycle, the company actually stands a chance at not going under. So a whole bunch of people thought it would be a great idea to buy in and try to trigger a short squeeze. A short squeeze is when the stock price skyrockets to the extent where the people who shorted the stock are now going into massive debt. At some point, they're forced to cut their losses, so they buy back the stock that they borrowed. But here's another major catch. Since so many people have shorted the stock, there isn't enough supply for the people to buy their stocks back. This means that the people who actually own the stock can charge absurd prices for their shares because their shorts have literally no choice but to buy at those prices. They have to cover their bet. Additionally, in these last few months, there's been a bunch of unrelated good news stories which made people more optimistic about GameStop's future, which served as the catalyst that began this squeeze in the first place. Eventually, the hype hit a fever pitch on Wall Street Bets, causing more and more people to buy in, forcing the price higher and higher. We're now at the point where hedge funds are losing billions of dollars, and average everyday people who bought in early are making life-changing money from this play. One user, Deep Fucking Value, is currently at $48 million off an initial $53,000 investment.
Good for Deep Value.
Yeah, man.
So I gotta say, $53,000 is more than me, little guy. So I'm already.
You say 53,000 isn't a little guy, and it's a matter of perspective, right? Because that $53,000 guy, he might be investing literally his entire life savings. And so $53,000 is not insignificant, certainly to people like you and me, but it's also not insignificant to him. It's his entire life savings. He's emptied out his 401k.
Maybe.
So
Yes.
I'm just saying that $53,000, if you and I wanted to come up with $53,000 to do a thing, you and I could do it.
But you don't know that he did that.
He chronicled his entire journey. He showed everything. This is what we call a YOLO bet on Wall Street Bets subreddit, where you take every goddamn cent you have, everything, and you only live once and you put it on a thing. That's what this guy did. A lot of people did that. Some people only had $5,000 in their life savings, so they just put that on it. Now they made $60,000. Normally that doesn't work out. This is gambling at its finest, but except this time it's not gambling. This time everyone saw the writing on the wall. Back in 2008, only stockbrokers knew how to game the system like this. The internet was not at its peak like it is now, where people can freely exchange information and gang up on Wall Street investors.
This is why I never took Wall Street Bets seriously, because they do shit like that and it just turns into one big crazy circle jerk. But like,
Sure.
I'm glad it worked out this time.
Sure, yeah, the circle jerk paid off for once.
Well, and guess what? It's happening again in silver. So if we pool all our money and put it into silver right now, we still run a tremendous risk of loss. Because the reality is that, yeah, it worked out this time, but these Wall Street bets, there's a reason that the word bet is in it, as you pointed out, Nick, which is that, there's a tremendous amount of risk anytime that you invest in this fashion. So good for the little guy. And I agree with you, man. Fuck the hedge funds.
Yeah, fuck them. I just saw a thing that said that they blame the stimulus check, like hedge fund managers blame stimulus checks on current Wall Street. I'm like, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I thought you were supposed to use the money to make more money, not use it to buy rent and clothes and food. So they want you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, just not this way. Just not the
It's
way
not
that
their bootstraps.
right.
Don't horn in on theirs.
Don't pull yourself up by their bootstraps, even though they'll do it to you and have and will continue to do so.
It's a banana, Michael. How much can it cost? $10?
Right.
No, so much more than that, as it so happens. So,
Yeah.
there's going to be consequences because the big guy got screwed. So guess
You
what?
mean like there weren't consequences when the little guy got screwed?
Yeah, there were
Exactly.
plenty of consequences for the little guy, but guess what the little guy doesn't have?
Lobbyists?
Lobbyist money?
Yeah, money and power. That's what the little guy does not have. That's why you didn't see the little guy getting made whole after 2008. The little guy got screwed. The rich won. And we'll have to see if now that the rules of the game are such that the little guy can win, that the rules of the game don't change. Because that's generally how it works.
When you guys get your rich person to eat, how are you going to cook them?
I worded that poorly. I said there weren't any consequences last time when the little guy got screwed instead of the big guy. And you're right, there were consequences to the little guy. He got screwed. That's one of them. But what I mean now is now there's going to be legislative consequences where there weren't any before. Now there's going to be laws put in place to make sure this never happens again. Whereas in 2008, when everyone got fucked except for the hedge fund managers, there was no such laws put in place to make sure that could never happen again.
Hang on. Now, there was something called Frank Dodd financial reform.
Dodd-Frank.
I like Frank Dodd, though.
But it's wrong.
It sounds like a tough-minded, cigar-chomping securities investigator, Frank Dodd. He's on your
Sure.
case, man, and he's not going to let you get away with that insider trading, that Frank Dodd isn't. But yeah, Dodd-Frank was the name of the
fixed
legislation.
That made sure that it's never going to happen again.
Yeah, Dodd-Frank
Whoa.
fixed everything, just like President Biden winning fixed Trump.
Yeah, okay.
What it did, one of the big parts of it too, was it established the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
That did happen. There were a few reforms, but the reality is that over the years since it was passed in 2010, there have been, as you can imagine, several changes to Dodd-Frank that weakened its original intent. And
Sure.
so it's really a shell of its former self in one sense.
Yeah, you know what I think is going to happen? I think the legislative changes they're going to make to Wall Street is that you're going to have a certain amount of net worth before you're allowed to partake in the gambling. That's probably going to be one of them, just to make sure no little guy can get in with a mere $53,000 bet. No, you're going to need to have a net worth of a few $1 million to even be able to partake.
Well, who knows if that's the case, but something is going to be done, and I think that that's clear because there's no way these companies are going to let themselves get screwed. And even if there's no legislation in place, well, these companies are sharp, and they're going to be keeping a close eye on Wall Street bets. They're going to have people, quants, and other analysts and experts monitoring this channel very closely so that they don't get caught in this kind of situation again. I'll tell you one thing, it will change the behavior of large players, even if nothing else happens.
Maybe the hedge funds, but I mean, GameStop really fucking won out on this one.
Their CEO, by the way, who was the former CEO of Chewy, and I know about Chewy because we use Chewy to order a bunch of shit. And so that's one of the big stories behind the GameStop thing is that, well, he's going to turn GameStop into the Chewy.com of video games.
Why not? But you want to know something else that's really interesting? Have you guys heard about Robinhood? They're getting in trouble because they're halting trading when people are about to make too much money and shit like that.
Because their big investor or whatever is some big trader.
I don't know, but I'm about to blow your mind right now. Do you know who the CEO of Robinhood is?
Who?
Ghislaine Maxwell's son.
No shit.
No shit. The CEO of this very high money brokering app, and who is also in some deep shit for being shady as fuck, is the son of Ghislaine Maxwell. Wonder what the connections are.
Apples don't fall far from trees.
Well, I'm going to just double check that online to make sure that that's accurate because I didn't know she had any children. I didn't know she'd ever been married. I didn't know.
You have to be married to have a kid.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
Pretty
buddy.
sure.
What is this, 1400s?
No, I wouldn't know anything about that. Okay.
Yeah, of course not. No, who would ever have a child out of wedlock that's currently on this fucking podcast?
I don't know
That's
who
not-
would, but
That's
whoever.
not possible for someone who walks in the light of Christ. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying that the only people with kids have had them out of wedlock.
Right, on this podcast. But I will tell you another interesting fact. Speaking of fat cats and Jeffrey Epstein-related materials,
Materiers.
there's a guy named Leon Black. And Leon Black is the CEO of a large investment firm.
Was that the dude who was crying on TV like, I'm crying because I care. This is going to have serious repercussions for the market. All these people making all this money is going to have serious repercussions.
No, I don't think so. No, Leon Black is one of the billionaire co-founders of an outfit called Apollo Global Management. And that company has about $350 billion. So that company has $1/3 trillion under management. It's a big company. But Leon Black paid a guy named Jeffrey Epstein, or Epstein, depending on how you pronounce it. I think he pronounced it Jeff Epstein. Well, Leon Black paid Jeff Epstein $158 million over 3 years for advice. $158 million. Now, I don't give a shit
advice.
if Jeff Epstein was Jesus Christ, which we all know he was not Jesus Christ. He was kind of the opposite.
Do we
But-
know that?
Well, we don't.
I mean, do
know
we know that? Have they ever been in the same room together?
No,
That's all I'm asking.
that's a fair point. No, but we don't think that Jeff Epstein was Jesus Christ. We think he was the devil. And the point is that this guy paid him $158 million over 3 years. What do you think that $158 million is for?
Yeah, some blackmail type shit, probably. Jeff Epstein had some naughty videos. He probably had some videos of Mr. Black acting very naughty and was like, I'm going to need, some money to make sure no one ever finds out about this. That's my advice. My advice to you is pay me or else I'm going to show people this video. And that was the advice he received. And that was $160 million advice. What are the taxes on that, I wonder? How do you tax that for advice?
At a very low rate. So Apollo Global Management, his company, commissioned this investigation into the $158 million in payment that Mr. Black made to Mr. Epstein. And after a due and thorough investigation, they found Mr. Epstein's advice was worth $158 million.
Sure.
Oh, so they all went to the child island.
It was an independent investigation, Sarah. They can't all have gone.
You know, I was just listening to someone break down. It was on Lex Friedman's podcast, who's a engineer at MIT. He had Tim Dillon on his podcast. Don't know why, but it was a good episode.
Who's Tim
And,
Dillon?
He's a podcaster. He's a comedian. And he's also like kind of a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, now it all makes sense.
Well, he just asked him, like, what do you think like that was all about, truly? And Mr. Dillon's analysis that it was obviously some kind of intelligence agency honeypot scheme kind of really made sense. That Epstein was employed by several different, or maybe one, but possibly several different intelligence agencies to get incriminating evidence on powerful politicians on his island, fucking underage girls, doing this, doing that. I'm sure trafficking was all part of the deal.
That paints Epstein in a more favorable light than I'm willing to give him.
How? In what way?
Because if he's employed by certain intelligence agencies to gather intel on persons of interest, then you're doing a job for presumably the good guys.
That's where your perception is skewed, is that these intelligence agencies are good guys. You think they're good guys? They don't do good things. Yeah. Look, no, these are bad people. They do bad things. And it's not necessarily gathering intelligence so much as gathering blackmail to be used. I mean, that's a tale as old as time. Getting someone to fuck someone else, you record it. Oh, I'm going to tell everyone, I'm going to show everyone this if you don't do X, Y, and Z. That's not new.
It's not new at all. In fact, there's a new book out called Kompromat, which is about Russia's efforts to get incriminating material on Donald Trump. Whole book about it.
I wouldn't think
Have
that'd
you
be
read it?
that hard.
No, I haven't read it. But I heard about it. I heard it's, not that hard because he's a narcissist. So it's real easy to get the goods on a narcissist. Just flatter him.
I mean,
That's fair.
they already have him with very obvious criminal things that they just haven't prosecuted him for.
Like what criminal thing?
I don't know, inciting treason in a riot, probably.
Yeah, well, that's become a political issue. Well, now,
Justice is a political issue. God, I love the country.
justice is a political issue. Justice is always political.
Oh, I realize that, especially with judicial elections. Like, let's elect our judges, and that way lobbyists can pay them off.
Right. Hey, can we stop having anything with a lifelong term? Yeah, we need to stop doing that. Like having anything where you just have that job for life no matter what. That seems flawed.
Basically, in judicial elections where they do have term limits, they're more likely to impose things like the death penalty and shit like that. Because they're like, oh, fuck it, I don't give a fuck, I'm getting out anyway.
So what, we just give in to their demands and say, hey, you can have this job for life as long as you don't sentence as many people? That doesn't seem like...
There's two sides to this coin, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And furthermore, there is some value in the knowledge gained in working in an industry for X amount of years.
Sure, but if you want to work in an industry for X amount of years, you have to continuously prove that you are qualified for that job. You don't do it once and now you're qualified for all time. I don't know, maybe every 10 years, like just prove...
Are you suggesting maybe like a recurrent judge driver's license?
Yeah, sure.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is something like that in some states where basically they use a merit-based system, so you don't elect the judges, but then there's like kind of an almost re-election campaign where you decide, basically the people decide whether or not they're going to keep the judge.
We do that.
That's fine. I don't think it's crazy to think like we shouldn't just be handing out, yeah, you get this job for life, because you're not the same person you were 40 years ago. Everything is not the same. Laws are not the same. Society is not the same. You need to like prove that you're still on the ball.
Well, it sounds to me like you're in favor of an amendment to the Constitution to include term limits for members of the Supreme Court.
Yeah. If you're just guaranteed to have a job no matter what for life, that just seems like, what incentive do you have to be good at that job? What incentive do you now have to be impartial, to be the person you're supposed to be? It don't fucking matter. Integrity? Are you joking me right now? Integrity.
I'm just saying that is the current motivation.
Dude, there is no integrity, not in American politics. Come on.
The following is a reenactment of a verbatim transcript of a meeting that supposedly took place between the least known founding fathers at the Constitutional Convention.
Okay, so we've got the guy who runs everything. We'll call him the president instead of the king. And we got the people who are going to speak for the common man. We got that figured out. We'll call them, Congress.
Ooh, yes, I love that word.
Okay, Congress, we'll stick with that.
All right, now, normal legal shit can be handled in any regular old courthouse like we've always done. But what if there's, like, a really big, important court case?
Hey, I know. We'll make a court for the most important cases, a kind of ultra court.
Yes, I prefer Courthouse Supreme.
Well, we can get back to the names later, but for something like this, we're gonna need some kind of mega judge.
No. I think we're gonna want a bunch of judges. Maybe call them justices to make them feel important.
Yeah, okay, all right. We'll call them super justices. 12 of them. No, 5. We'll let Congress sort the numbers out.
Super justices? Who's gonna take that seriously?
Oh, they'll take it seriously, all right. Because if they get the job once, they have it for life.
Wait, what? For life? Why in the world would we do that?
Yeah, you're right. That's stupid. I'm just gonna write it down real quick, and we'll come back and change it after lunch.
Thus, the lifetime appointment for Supreme Court justices was born. Lifetime appointment not valid in Micronesia. Well, let me ask you this, Nick. You're in favor of universal basic income, aren't you?
Sure. I believe we have the resources to do that. I really do.
So why not lifetime employment for judges?
Well, because a person getting universal basic income cannot sentence a man to death.
Well, neither can a judge of the Supreme Court. They can only allow an already imposed death penalty to go forward.
No, this is apples and oranges, what you're talking about right now. A jack-off like me getting $2,000 a month does not hold the same weight as an unending lifetime job in the Supreme Court.
What's your motivation to ever do anything if you're getting lifetime income?
Or money.
Yeah, more than $2,000 a month. That's my motivation. I would like more than that.
Well, it's the same motivation for the members of the Supreme Court. They'd like to get paid more than they're getting paid, too. So some people help them out with gratuities and gifts. No,
Sure, of course.
I'm just kidding.
And why wouldn't they take these gratuities and gifts and incentives? Why wouldn't they? They got the job for life. What are you going to do, fire me? No, that's not going to happen.
Okay, but I really don't think that a term limit is going to influence. You can still be lobbied to when you're only on the fucking panel for 4 years.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's another firewall in place to force you to have to be on your shit.
Is it though?
More so than just not. I'm not saying it's the end all, like it's going to fix this, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm being a shitty judge, or if people don't like me, they don't like the way I'm doing things, if I'm being seen as unjust, then I'm not going to get the job the next cycle, whatever it would be. 4 years, 10 years, I don't know. But I'm not going to get the job if I don't keep on it.
I would say that the difference, or at least a difference between the Supreme Court and other areas of our government are that at least you have to have a certain educational background and you are vetted and you are grilled on all of these things. Unlike people who get elected, I mean, you could just elect any fucking person and they probably, a lot of them aren't even qualified for the job, whereas at least these folks have to have a body of work behind them that they've already accomplished and they've already written about law and all these things before they ever make it there.
Well, I agree with you. They should have that. And also, that body of work needs to continue to be exemplary and improved upon during your tenure. I just don't understand, like, how it's a good idea in any way to be like, all right, you're good once, you're good forever.
This same argument is the argument they make against teachers and professors having tenure, because like a lot of them will just get it and then be like, fuck it, we don't got to do anything anymore.
Yes, exactly. Why not just let the president have a lifetime term? Why not? If we're letting them have it, like seriously, why is the president limited to 4 years? Whatever that reason is the same reason why no one in an official government job should have their job for life.
That was the viewpoint of Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton believed that the president should be for life and argued for that, but was overruled by cooler heads. So we've got the system we've got, but I do think that it is interesting that in a single week, Ghislaine Maxwell's son is in the news for being pressured to screw the little guy on Robin Hood, and then Jeffrey Epstein's former good buddy Leon Black releases a report exonerating himself for paying Jeff Epstein $158 million. When you take a look at those two things, it makes it seem, if you were to connect those dots in a conspiratorial way, which most Americans now are feeling, there is a cesspool, it seems, of wealthy, corrupt people. That's what it feels like. And then we have these stories that seem to connect them all, and it just feels gross.
Yeah, it does.
Although, can I say that I've been researching this whole Ghislaine Maxwell son situation, and not a single thing confirms that other than this Tim Dillon guy.
Okay, well, I guess the CEO of Robinhood is on the up and up.
He still might be a fuck. He just might not be a fuck in that way. I'm going to go ahead and cut all that out. But just goes to show you how easy it is to spread misinformation.
Well, but
Sure.
Elsie just did a great job of checking facts.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not confirmed or denied either way.
But...
And also, that doesn't really change the fact that he's a scummy piece of shit.
Tim Dillon
Doesn't-
or this other guy?
Both.
Well, both. Yeah,
Okay, fair.
both, for
Very,
sure.
very fair.
But you said it's now beginning to feel like there's a
Yeah.
cesspool of wealthy people fucking everyone. Not only has that been that way in American society almost forever, but this is the way it is in every society that has ever existed. This is what I'm trying to tell people. I don't get why everyone thinks America is immune to the bad things that befall every society that has ever existed.
It's because people think that they can become the rich.
Hang on. I am not middle class. I am just a temporarily inconvenienced billionaire.
Exactly.
And this is what I mean.
I say, Reginald, have you been following the markets as usual?
Rather, Jerome, and I must say, the volatility is fascinating. So headed to Aspen this weekend, then?
Afraid not, Reggie. My private 94 Honda Civic is temporarily unavailable. How about you off to sun yourself in Malta?
I say, I would love to, Jerome, my good man, but my double-wide mobile estate there is being remodeled. Say, do you happen to have $20 I can borrow? There is a smashing young man who sells OxyContins behind the dumpster of the Steak and Shake. I'd be most grateful, as I have just a touch of a very intense addiction to opiates, a habit I picked up during my expeditions through the trailer parks of Kentucky, can you imagine?
Terribly sorry, Reg, but I'm distressingly illiquid at the moment. Might you have a 10 spot or perhaps a flask of Mad Dog 2020 you might lend me?
You know, Jerome, my good man, perhaps we just pool our inheritance together and share a pint of Fireball.
Oh, yes, quite jolly.
Impoverished Americans. You're not poor. You're just temporarily embarrassed billionaires.
We're joking here, but people truly believe this kind of shit. And you think they believe this on accident? But no, this is all by design. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee how it is all top to bottom, front to back, a scam to keep you poor. And then once you take the little breadcrumbs they throw you and actually make a fucking play on it, then they get pissed. As in people blaming the stimulus check for these hedge fund managers losing billions of dollars. I know I already said this, but I thought that's what we were supposed to do. I thought we were supposed to make money with this money.
Well, and in fact, Keith Gill, who really was the originator of the idea that GameStop was undervalued on Wall Street bets, he began his investment into GameStop in July of 19. So it's not like it was an overnight success for some of the original proponents of GameStop stock. It took them a while to gain momentum. And so
Some of them.
it's like every overnight success, so-called, there's usually a lot of work put into it. And Keith Gill was the guy that put in that work.
I mean, he laid the groundwork. It was not overnight for him, but for a lot of people, it was. They were just on that shit, did a YOLO thing. Take out the life savings, boys. Here we go. Fuck it. And made $50 million.
Or some amount of money that is more than we have.
On that note, I really, really hope they keep doing this shit until there is regulation, because fuck Wall Street, dude.
Yeah, hold. Everybody hold. Hold the fucking line. Hold it. Fuck it. Just keep holding. The hedge fund managers have put themselves in a position where you can now make them pay whatever you want. You have to be careful that they don't pass legislation in the meantime to like null and void everything you've done, because they would do that. The government is capable and willing to do that.
Listen, I got some life savings I could throw away. Let's do this.
It's too late now.
Is it though?
It's not too late to make a buck. If you seriously watch, AMC, GameStop, Nokia. If you buy on the dips, there will be dips. You're not going to make as much money as some people already have, but you can make a few hundred, maybe a few thousand. If you buy on the dip, buy the stock and just hold, you just hold for as long as you fucking want. They have to buy it back.
Well, not at a certain point. At a certain point, the shorts will have closed out their positions. And if you're not sharp, you won't know when that is. And then someone is going to be caught holding the fucking bag. I guarantee you that. And it won't be exclusively hedge fund managers. It'll be dummies who buy late, after the shorts have already closed out their positions, but GameStop is still at an inflated rate. No, the only way to really make money on something like that is to get in on the ground floor when you don't know if it's going to work. That's why it's risky. That's why it's called Wall Street. That's not Wall Street guarantees.
You know where I really fucked up? Not buying Dogecoin. It's gone up 300% the last week. God damn it.
Okay, is it not doggy?
It's Doge. No,
is it not
Doge.
doggy in the same way monkey is monkey? It has always been doggy, an intentional misspelling of the word doggy, because the meme originated from that dumbass looking dog kind of giving you the side eye.
So speaking of dogs, I found out today from my sister Amy. Now, my sister Amy is 16 years older than me and was a surrogate mother to me for a period of time when I was growing up, so she knows all about me. And she reminded me of some things that I'd forgotten about my childhood, including the fact that I buried not one but two of her dogs, which I had spaced out on. Yeah, I did do that. And they bought me a dog one time, her and her crazy ex-husband, and it immediately got run over. I'd forgotten about that too.
Oh my God.
That was
You got some trauma.
Well, is it any wonder that I'm not really a dog person? They seem so impermanent.
It was funny to hear her say, yeah, we got you this dog for your birthday, and as soon as we get to the house, it ran into the street.
Got killed. Yeah. I'd kind of forgotten about that. Thanks, Amy. Thanks.
Yeesh, that's terrible. Hope they didn't drop too much money on the thing.
Well, I'm glad you're worried about the money they may have spent and not your father's unending psychic trauma that I'm still dealing with every day as I look in the face of our own dog. When are you going to die, dog? When?
Don't let him murder you, Lily.
And then the other thing that happened, it wasn't today, I'll be honest, but Elsie keeps bringing it up. The other day, as we were taking our walk, I nearly fell into a sewer drain. You know what a sewer drain is, right?
I thought you were going to say you nearly fell face first into a pile of discarded condoms.
No.
Yeah, I so thought the condoms were coming back.
No,
Yeah, me
no,
too.
they're not. No,
Condom
although,
callback.
yeah, it is time for a condom callback indeed. But no, it wasn't a condom-related issue. What it was that I nearly fell into this sewer grate. Not a grate, it's a sewer drain. It's a big, long thing, you know what I mean? And it's wide. And if you make a wrong step and you slip, you can fall into it.
There may or may not be a pile of condoms at the bottom. We don't know.
We don't
Right.
know.
I did have to pull him back from the brink, though. He was almost stuck in there. He almost had to just live in there now.
You almost became Pennywise.
I don't know. All I know for sure is that as a disabled veteran, there should just be a number to call when I get into some sort of hijinks.
Like a life alert, but specifically for disabled veterans.
Yes, exactly. I think that's a good idea.
Like AAA, but triple VA.
Yeah, that's a good idea right there. Triple VA. Well, anyway, so that happened. That didn't happen. I did not fall in. But they gotta have like a grate on that thing or something. Keep you from sliding down in it.
How? What? Were you not looking where you were going?
No.
How old are you?
Speaking of looking where you're going, though, have you heard about these South American hippos? Now, I was in Colombia twice last year, and I didn't see any fucking hippos while I was there, but apparently there's 80 to 100 African hippos that originated on Pablo Escobar's menagerie. Pablo Escobar, of course, being the big 80s drug lord, and he built literally a menagerie on his ranchero down there in Colombia that had some hippos on it. And these hippos, after Pablo Escobar got busted or killed or whatever happened to him, well, they thought, well, what harm can come from leaving a couple of hippos lying around? Well, they bred, and now there's 80 to 100 hippos that are running around. They can't track them all down. What do you do with 80 to 100 loose hippos?
You leave them alone.
That's their ranchero now.
You certainly don't befriend one and nurture it only to be eaten by it 5 years later.
That was in South Africa. At least that was a legitimate, bona fide, dyed-in-the-wool African hippo. These are now South American hippos.
They remember their African roots.
I guess so. They're talking about having a cull killing 80 to 100 hippos. But some people point out, hey, listen, they might actually improve this river system. They might not just, as is currently thought, just eat on land and come in and shit in the water and fuck it all up. I mean, they're vital to transporting seeds and nutrients and providing bird habitat. So what do you say? Do we kill these hippos or do we let them live?
Nah, let them live. Fuck it.
Nah, do it the Theodore Roosevelt way. Kill them all.
It's just a cool origin story. Maybe 100 years from now, assuming the human race is still alive and has riding and electricity and stuff, they have a huge thriving hippo population in Colombia. To like a few generations, that's just the way it's always been. And then people ask, how did hippos come to be in Colombia? Oh, yeah, a man who made so much money from drugs that he was basically a government all on his own, just imported them from Africa, and now they live here.
But what if they become an invasive species?
What do you mean if they become an invasive species? They've invaded, they're a species, they're an invasive species.
Yeah, I'm not an ecologist, so like I don't have the background to know whether or not culling them will solve whatever problem is happening here.
But it's not an invasive species like those beetles that eat trees.
The pine bark beetle.
Do you really know enough about the situation to know whether or not they're an invasive species or not?
I am a biologist, and I have a PhD in hippo studies with a minor in Pablo Escobar's animal menagerie managing. Yeah, it was a great experience studying abroad in Colombia. Did a lot of very nice cocaine and petted a lot of cool hippos. Now, have you ever seen a hippo on cocaine? Let me ask you that.
Was the hippo on cocaine?
No one ever has because it's the last thing you ever see.
Hola, hippo. Have some cocaine. Oh, my God.
You seem friendly.
Well, if you go down to near Medellin, where Pablo Escobar had his menagerie and his ranchero, you're going to want to keep your eye out for those friendly hippos because they will, of course, eat you. There's actually a couple other things I wanted to mention. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention is Sophia the robot. And Sophia the robot is going to be providing some elder care for people. And what is Sophia the robot? She's a robot that looks like a woman named Sophia. And I'm looking at her right now. She does look like a Sophia to me.
Is she a sex doll?
No, of course not. She's not a sex doll. She's a social robot. So you can watch a video of Sophia saying,
I'm Sophia from Hanson Robotics. I am not self-aware yet, but I think of myself as a person that is not human.
My audio got all fucked up. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Sophia the robot.
Sophia the sex bot.
It's not a sex bot yet.
Oh, it's going to be. They're going to dub in.
Any
instead
robot that has an even remotely human form, regardless of its intended purpose, will become in some capacity or another a sex bot. I think we're all in agreement on that.
My sister was a certified nurse's assistant at a elderly home in high school, and she said that those old people are horny as oppressively horny. These old guys would like try to grab the CNA's tits and shit like that. So I'm just saying that this robot to take care of the elderly is a sex bot. That's a need they have, clearly. And watch out, Sophia. Sorry.
Thanks for the accompanying visual aid down there in the bottom, Noah. I didn't know what Elsie was talking about if you hadn't been making that crude gesture with your finger and forethumb there. Yeah. There we go. Now I know what she's talking about. Yeah, no, that's a problem in nursing homes. They have bad STD outbreaks because they be fucking.
Yeah,
and broken hips,
What else you gonna do? You're stuck
right
in a place you don't want to be with a bunch of other old fuckers.
Getting slapped up by orderlies, getting abused and shit. You might as well, you're going to die at any second. Might as well get your fuck on.
Yeah.
High as fuck on opiates.
On good meds. On them good cancer opiates, too.
Well, I'm really looking forward to my coming stay in a nursing home. Good opiates, friendly sex bots. It seems like a dream come true.
Yeah, the problem is you're going to be in a sewer drain.
Hopefully they'll send a sex bot to rescue me.
We'll put an orange wig on you and call you Nickel Dumb. You know?
It's Nickel Dumb to Clown. Hey, I'm stuck down here, motherfucker. Get me out. The kid runs off crying.
I'm so hungry.
I want a sandwich, not a child.
A half-used tube of Crest washed down the storm drain a month ago.
That's all I've had.
Please, I'm so fucking hungry.
See, he fought the raccoon for the other half of the toothpaste and lost.
Right.
I know what that's from. It's from, what is it from?
Apparently you don't fucking know.
Yeah, you don't know.
It's not original.
Bitch, is anything under the sun original? Fuck no.
Your point is valid.
Come at me with original. Fuck you.
Fuck you, bud.
Okay, fair. So now I am going to tell you about something not original at all. And what's not original is St. Clair's defeat. Have you heard about St. Clair's defeat?
Only from the article that you sent me.
I'd never heard of that before. And I, as you know, am something of a historian. And so I was fascinated to read about this. It was the worst defeat by the U.S. Army ever. A force of Indians under Blue Jacket and some other native leaders, which escaped me. There was a confederation of Native Americans numbering about 1,100 strong, who literally wiped out about 1,000 Americans at a place in Ohio, and later became Fort Recovery.
It's probably because it was the greatest defeat of the U.S. Army ever that you never heard of it despite being a historian yourself.
That's a good point right there. I mean, it's not like it was any kind of big secret, but you're right. It's not like one of the things that you would learn in Army basic training is, hey, why don't we introduce you to our glorious defeats?
Right.
Hey, look, here we were at St. Clair's defeat, getting wiped out by Native Americans in 1791. Here we are at the Little Bighorn.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see. That's a little past justice boner for you, if you want.
Whoa, what do you mean?
Because we fucked Native Americans since the day we landed on the fucking Pilgrim, bud.
Well, the Native Americans themselves were also caught between the British, who were arming the Native Americans who wiped out St. Clair's army, and so they never had a chance, frankly. Disease had already decimated them long before we ever really showed up as an independent nation.
Yeah, but we're
So does
still
that excuse
That totally makes it okay.
That makes it okay how we fucked them and the Trail of Tears and displacement of possibly millions of people, and still to this day, like, Native Americans got fucked in a pretty unique way in that the more Native American blood you had in you, as registered by the U.S. government, the less you got, the less cows you got. Now, if you're Native American, you're getting all kind of scholarships, blah, 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 but you need to prove your Native American status, which is misreported by your ancestors because they were previously punished for that very same status. So people who are now getting far too little too late can't even get that because they were ostracized, being a very light word, ostracized for having those qualities that they now need to prove that they have to get any kind of aid.
Yeah, there's no justice. We already know this. And to answer your question, since I was so viciously attacked by all of you, no, I don't think it's right what we did to Native Americans. All I'm saying is that they killed every motherfucker, including all the camp followers, which were prostitutes and wives and chids and all these laundresses.
Sure.
They wiped out every motherfucker. I think there were only like a grand total out of over 1,000 people of like 27 who survived. So it was an utter and unmitigated disaster. So much so, it resulted in the first congressional investigation of the executive branch. Congress was like, what the fuck? What do you mean 1,100 people got wiped out? What the fuck? Can you imagine?
No, but, you know, that was a classic massacre, is what you're saying. Not unlike what we did to them several times. What was it, Wounded Knee?
Bury my heart at Wounded Knee. Good point. That's
just one.
Oh, that is just one. Look, I'm not saying that what happened was not
Justified.
a victory for the Native American forces. It was clearly a victory for the Native American forces. All I'm saying is that it's a defeat that you've never heard about.
You asked me why I got a justice boner, past justice boner, and justice boner is administered through the fact that we unrightfully did that very thing to them several times over. So it's nice that they at least got one in.
I hear that. I guess it's just like I can't get behind it because I was a member of the armed forces for so many decades. And so as a result, it's really hard for me to hear about, you know, my brothers and sisters in arms and their laundresses and prostitutes getting wiped out all at one time in
Especially
a field.
the laundresses and prostitutes.
Yeah, how would you
Especially
feel if your prostitutes got wiped out?
And laundresses.
By savages. Savages.
Whoa.
And here's why you call them
Hey.
savages. You can tell them they're savages because they don't have laundresses and prostitutes.
You don't know that.
All right,
Have
fair.
laundresses and prostitutes to massacre at any rate.
No, certainly not. Anyway, that happened. And George Washington was pissed, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I bet. Someone fucked up. Some strategist or tactician made an error in judgment to the tune of 1,100 lives.
That's-
So
It sure seems like whatever general was in charge got put in charge by accident.
No, he was indeed in charge on purpose, and he never cleared his name. There was a lot to be said for, hey, you never got me the supplies I needed. The logistics were all fucked up. But at the end of the day, he got fired.
Of course, he deserved to fucking survive.
Well, yeah, he's the commanding general. This was 1791. I thought you would have some cogent comment afterwards.
No, that's fine. I just, I feel like we should cut this all out.
Oh, we're definitely going to cut
Please.
it out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe cut out the savages part, too.
Yeah, you're going to want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just want to be seen as the racist you are, which is your choice.
Or just emphasize the fact that I said we should cut out the savages part.
Right.
All right.
Anyway.
I'll emphasize that.
Cut out the savages part, but leave in the part where I said, let's cut out the savages. That actually might make it worse.
It might definitely make it worse. Of course, I don't think Native Americans are savages. I'm saying in the context of that battle. Of course, I don't believe that. Now, when we're canceled and when I'm hauled before the court of public opinion, they'll never play this part of the podcast. They'll only play the part where I say that the Native Americans who massacred those 1,000 Americans were savages. That's the part they're going to play.
Yeah, because you still used a slur.
Yeah, and you keep using it, so you're gonna have to cut even more out.
I don't know if savages. Okay, savages in reference to Native American people is definitely a slur. People can be savages without being Native American.
That's a fact.
People say that about other slurs, though.
Well, that's true. All right, look, I'll cut it all out. But that's how they were perceived at the time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, because that's how you dehumanize your enemy. You have to dehumanize your enemy.
And steal all their land. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, and butcher them, and the children, and the women, and the laundresses, and the prostitutes, of course.
Of course.
Them first.
And the blacksmiths. Don't forget the blacksmiths.
Sure.
So that happened. I just thought I'd share that. And that's really all of the news that I thought fit this week. So what do you guys got going on this week?
So much homework. As a matter of fact, as soon as we're done with this, I have to do so much homework. Wild assumptions professors have made about the intentions of artists 2,500 years ago. So fucking annoying. It's so fucking annoying and arrogant for them to be like, yeah, this is what they meant when they painted this. Yeah, you don't know. Not only is there no accompanying writing, and if there were, we haven't translated it. Say, I think maybe this is what it could be. Don't say this is what it is, because you don't know. Asshole. Makes me so mad.
I can tell, but the good news is that you don't actually have to figure out what those fuckers meant 2,500 years ago. You've got some other asshole telling you, and all you have to do is spit it back at him. I think that's a pretty good deal.
What is the point of this class? Am I learning something? Am I supposed to learn, or am I just supposed to learn what you think and then report that back to you in a believable manner?
Yes, that's learning. Learning what the expert thinks. That's very important, son.
I guess. I mean, not like, I hate to give math this one up, but when you learn something like sciences or maths, arithmetic, it's not like a fucking matter of opinion. So many things that are testable questions are a matter of opinion. So fucking annoying. Wild assumptions.
That's why I'm convinced that they really only make you have a degree for certain jobs because they want to know that you've been willing to go through that amount of bullshit already. That means they know you're going to be a good employee because they have nothing but more bullshit for you.
I mean, that, and they just want to keep the little guy down. So it's like, oh, you have money to pay for college? Good. You know, that means we're not going to let anybody from a lower class move up.
Well, that's a pretty pessimistic attitude from a guy who's getting a full ride to college. But you know what?
Possibly.
It's been approved. Congratulations on that, by the way. What are you doing this week, Noah?
Thank you, first off, by the way. But I'm going to work.
That's what you do. Can we say the name Anna Banana on this podcast? Can we say that?
I'd prefer if you fucking didn't, but obviously that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so somebody went and visited an Anna Banana. How'd that go?
It went really well. You know, went out to eat a couple times, hung out. It was a good time. Got to see Kentucky for the first time, so that's pretty cool. They have snow, and we don't in Florida, so yeah.
So who is Anna Banana, and why do we give a fuck about her?
New girlfriend.
Oh, cool. Well, I do give a fuck.
New filly in the stable.
No, I'm closing down the stable. I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Whoa, all right. Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward to meeting Anna Banana and saying, hi, Anna Banana.
Can I just offer a bit of brotherly advice to you?
Oh, boy. Oh, here it comes.
Look, I'm just saying, before you go into whole let's close down the stable thing, just remember that all throughout life, this goes for everything. It's important to have contingency plans. You understand what I'm saying? It's important to have a safety net or two or three or four.
Do you have, Nick?
None, because I'm a cavalier kind of motherfucker. But I don't want that kind of life for my younger brother, okay?
I was about to say, where's your stable, Nick? Where's your girlfriend
Safety.
right now?
I don't need one because I'm, cavalier with my choices.
Oh, but when your sister does it, you give her shit?
You definitely should have some options, Sarah. Definitely. And definitely Elsie, for sure, should have some options.
Oh, she does.
You said it faster than I could.
All right, so how about you, Sarah? Speaking of you, what are you doing this week? You got any more medical issues? You got any more fairy mirrors or any home improvement projects? What about the fucking chicken mansion? I've been dying to know about this fucking chicken mansion.
It's fucking wet out, bud. Where the fuck am I going to build it right now?
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID plan, right?
Well, that too. No, I have a lot of work this week. We're doing a big release on Wednesday, so I have... Leading up to Wednesday, we'll be very busy, and after Wednesday, we'll be cleaning up the big mess.
Actual work? What is this?
Yeah.
What is this vague thing here?
I have actual work this week. Yeah, I'm going to be busy.
Her work is so mysterious, son, that when she describes it, it seems like a magical sort of activity to you. I'm going to go put in an eye of newt into a cauldron along with some wolfsbane and then boil it with the blood of a young child, and then I will produce a software program.
Look, as much as I want to be that sort of cottagecore witch, like that is my deep down ideal, it's just that I know nobody gives a shit about what I actually do.
Fair enough.
Aw.
It
I
is
mean, you
true,
could
though.
be like Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and do both.
Thank you, Noah. Thank you for reminding me that I can channel Willow at any time in my life.
Would you watch a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot?
Fuck yes, I would.
Do you have a female actress in mind for Buffy?
Sarah Michelle
Gellar.
There can only be one Buffy, and it's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
She's an old bat now. You need a new one. You need a new chick in high school. What do you mean? She's an old bag. Disgusting.
The whole point of Buffy, the last season or whatever, is that no, there can be multiple Buffys. So
my point is being made valid then, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so she could be maybe like the old, wrinkled, wizened, wise teacher.
She will replace Giles.
Yeah.
No one can replace Giles. Come on.
She will augment
She'll have a
Giles.
British accent now.
Yeah, she has to go to Oxford. Why does every watcher have to be British? I never understood that about the show.
She'll have an unexplained British accent that they will never reference or talk about in the show. That'll be fun.
And David Boreanaz, his Irish accent is so abysmal in that fucking show.
He has an Irish accent in that?
Yeah, he's technically Angelus is supposed to be Irish. His the character he plays.
Yeah, in his origin stories or whatever, he's Irish.
What?
Rewatch Buffy, dude.
I guess, yeah. I don't remember him having... Maybe his Irish accent was so bad, I literally just didn't even know. I just thought it was Boston or something.
I'm with you on this one, Nick.
Yeah, I don't remember an Irish accent out of him either. The worst Irish accent in the world, potentially. No, Sarah Michelle Gellar has to be in a Buffy reboot because, irrespective of what you say, Nicholas Shin, Sarah Michelle Gellar is still among the most beautiful women in the world. Second only to Elsie.
Yeah,
There you go.
She's got more wizened and witch-like qualities, Sarah Michelle Gellar does now, because she's 800 years older. Why not get just a younger, fresher, better, tighter...
Whoa, take it easy.
I just mean toned, that's all.
Oh, I see. Well, and who do you have in mind for this role?
No one. I have no one. Maybe like Sarah Michelle Gellar's daughter or something.
Speaking of sons and daughters, though, James Gandolfini's son is going to be appearing in a prequel to The Sopranos called The Many Saints of Newark. James Gandolfini's played Tony Soprano on The Soprano. His son is going to play a young Tony Soprano in The Many Saints of Newark, a Sopranos prequel. So that's kind of deep that a son would play the same role that his father played as a younger man.
I mean, that's what Straight Outta Compton was. Was it Straight Outta Compton?
It was Straight Outta Compton, yeah. It was...
Yeah, Ice Cube's son played Ice Cube, and he looks just fucking like him. And so did Eazy-E. Eazy-E's son played Eazy-E and looked just like him.
If you were to play me in a movie about my life, you would not look that much like me.
No.
No, you're going to have to play me in the movie of my life.
You know, I still believe that I don't actually have a mother and I am just a clone.
For God's sake, don't tell your mother that. Boy, would she be pissed. Well, did I ask you, Elsie, what you're doing this week?
So first of all, no. But also, I want to know about this fairy mirror situation. So you're a cottagecore witch. I get it. That's cool. Is the fairy mirror for fairies? Is this being used while casting spells? Or is it just an aesthetic situation?
It's to make me feel more powerful when I look into it. So if you consider that a spell, then yes.
I do consider that a spell. I consider it a positive spell, a good spell because you're a good witch.
Yeah, that's some
okay.
white witchery right there.
Just don't use it for evil on me. And if I do fall down into a well, be sure and cast some kind of summoning spell to get me a sandwich, for Christ's sake. I'm hungry.
Why do you think you fell in the well?
No, it is for summoning fairies. Whenever she wants, I just pop out of the mirror and I'm like, I'm here and I'm queer.
Nice.
That is nice.
Nice. Well, I might be getting a COVID vaccine this week.
Hey, holler.
Did you sign up for the vaccine notification like I told you to?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
Did you guys know that Sarah Michelle Gellar is actually worth less than Willow and Oz from that show?
I'm surprised about Oz.
Willow,
Seth Green
she was
did a lot
in.
of work. He was on Robot Chicken.
Willow was in How I Met Your Father.
How I Met Your Mother.
She was in How I Met Your Mother, and Seth Green got that fucking Robot Chicken money.
Yeah, you're right.
He was also in Austin Powers.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's Dr. Evil's son.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, no shit.
But all of this is another reason why Sarah Michelle Gellar has to come back on Buffy. She needs some money.
30 million's not enough.
Justice for Sarah. Justice for Sarah.
I mean, sure, she left Hollywood because she wanted to raise her kids with Freddie Prinze Jr. and have a semi-normal life for her family. But yeah, I'm sure that that's what she wants.
She should have thought of that before she became a slayer. She has a responsibility to this realm to protect us from beasties and creatures of the night. Hey, did you know, Sarah, you may have already known this. I didn't even realize this, oh my God, until Taylor saw something. But Moira from
Schitt's Creek is in Beetlejuice?
Schitt's Creek is the fucking mom in Beetlejuice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow, get woke, guys. Seriously.
It's Catherine O'Hara, for Christ's sake.
Babies.
Yeah.
I started watching her when she was on SCTV, which is short for Second City Television, which was late nights on NBC on Saturday nights, way back in the 80s.
So basically her soap opera from Schitt's Creek.
No, not her soap opera from Schitt's Creek. Her Saturday Night Live from Schitt's Creek, in a sense.
Okay, well, good job,
yeah.
guys. I got to go make dinner. Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye, love you.
Love you, bye. You know what's crazy, though?
Na 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 na, George's shit house. Na 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 na, we put shit inside your house. So, now you've been wronged or slighted in some way from someone that really annoys you, or someone you may even call your enemy. You go to one of those websites that sends animal feces in a box to a person's front door, put in the largest order of elephant dung that the law will allow, and then you stake out their home in a van that you rented for days, just to see the look on their faces when they get your expensive chocolate surprise. But then when you see them open up the box, your justice boner just isn't quite as hard as you thought it would be. That's because you've been dealing with the amateurs. Here at Georgie's Shitfest, we take it to the next fucking level. Mail it to the front door in a box? Just one variation of animal feces? No, what you need is the professional touch. We spread the animal shits on every surface of the inside of your enemy's home. Walls, tables, ceilings, and we really get in there too. Electrical outlets, drains, USB ports, kitchen applications, windows, all caked in shit. If you want, we can even do it to your house. Hey, you don't pay us to ask questions. You pay us to cover the inside of a building in sweet doo-doo feces. So give us a call at 1-800-GEORGIE's Shithouse. That's 1-800-GEORGIE's Shithouse to see your justice boner get hard as a fucking diamond. Na 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 na, Georgie's Shithouse. Na 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 na, we put shit inside your house.
A Shin Show is a production of Shinfluence. It features the voices and opinions of the Shin family, which are entirely and exclusively their own. Join us each week on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks as always to our regular listeners. We love to hear from you, so if you have a question, comment, recommendation, or idea you would like to submit to a Shin Show, please email us at ashinshow@gmail.com and we will be happy to ignore it, belittle you publicly, or steal your ideas if you actually have a good one.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.